Greetings, everyone, and you have been pulled into the Black Dimension. I'm Kev, and Donnie and Rogers here also today, and we are going to discuss the new MCU film that is coming up, Marvel's Eternals. Um, we want to know if it's dead on arrival because the reviews are in, and for an MCU film, for what the MCU has built their films and their standards up to be, this is rated pretty low. And I'm wondering, is there a reasoning behind this, or what's going on? Why this film in particular? And this is what we're here to discuss today. Um, how y'all doing today, fellas? What's going on?
Oh, doing good, doing good.
Yeah, it's all right, Day. What's going on with you?
Yeah, everything's good, man. Here to discuss Marvel's Eternals. Now, let me okay, let me direct y'all to the screen real quick. Let me do something. Wanted to show you something real quick. Um, Share this screen now. Rotten Tomatoes, and these reviews, I would say, should be taken with a grain of salt. Um, I would always suggest to people to, go see a film first. Do not, you don't have to take the reviews word for it because, some of them can be wrong. Such as in the case of Dave Chappelle's Six and Stones. It got a very low review, ratings, but, it was very impactful to everyone who watched. And that's what I'm saying. These things can be wrong. But so far, before the film even comes out, Rotten Tomatoes, which is a really big website as far as reviewing films, has given it a 53% on the tomato meter. Now, MCU films are usually consistently they're in the low to mid 90 percentile consistently, and some of them even got a 100. A couple even got a 100, I believe. I think Black Panther was one of them. But what could be the issues that this film right here is already facing? What do y'all believe is going on here?
Well, one of my issues with the movie is they have nut ass Angelina Jolie in there. Um, I mean, she's gone off the hinges a while ago, so I'm curious to see how this movie will do. And then it's a whole lot of characters with a lot of diversity for no reason. So that might be another issue. But what are your thoughts?
Mm, But my thoughts is that I would always want a film to have a great story. I do not, in particular, care about tokenizing characters, like, say, for instance, making a character black just to satisfy me and my need for representation. I would much rather, go with the the creative vision of the that was originally intended for the character. Now, if you want to just, take a team that was originally all white and then, race swap and, gender swap and sexuality swap, if you're going to do all that, at least make sure the story is quality. I'll give you an example. Doctor Strange, when they race swapped the ancient one, they race swapped and gender swapped, by the way. Um, that was a change that no one really took, to heart. Rather, like, or a Commissioner Loeb from the Black Bat, the Christopher Nolan Batman trilogy with Christian Bale. He was Commissioner Loeb was before Commissioner Gordon. Usually he's depicted as a white guy, but they depict him as a black guy as well. But I mean, as long as it makes sense to the story, these are why I give these examples. No one will care. I believe that what we're facing here is a lot of people who already saw this film, and it's probably a mix of a lot of people not buying into a lot of these were originally white and they carried themselves a certain way, but there's also people that are tired of the woke nonsense. And I would say, as a long time comic book fan and a movie fan, I don't need woke in everything. So
Yeah,
I think
well,
you
I
just
mean,
hit the nail on the head right there. This is about the woke culture. Right off the bat, a lot of people have been talking about how woke this movie seems to be, and about how they're pushing diversity. Now, I'm extremely unfamiliar with these characters, so I'm gonna give them a chance when I go to see the film. But if you are just changing races just to say you woke, that's not really what we want as a movie fan. What I want is a good movie. you know, that's the first priority because especially we spend money to see these movies. We want to see something that's good. There's nothing wrong with having diverse characters. Sometimes you need to make a new character if you want to put in some diversity, or you just need to tell a different story. But um, you know, comic book characters are something people have grown to love over years and over decades. So if you mess with them too much, of course you're gonna have a reaction. So I think the woke culture is probably the nail on the head and what's going on with this film right now, and these I guess these early reviews I should say.
yeah, they said one thing that I am hearing in the non spoiler reviews, because I've watched a couple of them, is the film seems to lag quite a bit. Like the film is too long. They tried to make it too much of a drama, but then just kind of when they get to like the final battle scenes, then it kind of wipes all of that away, and then it's just a regular MCU film after that. They missed their opportunity on a lot of characters, and this the plot, if I'm not mistaken, of this film is these beings came to Earth to terraform the planet and create life on there. So let's go ahead and get the elephant in the room. Let's get that motherfucker out. So what you're telling me is that technically that the first black man that ever set foot on Earth soil was gay. Now,
no, they didn't terraform the earth. Go
okay,
ahead.
okay, okay, okay. Well, just correct me. Just correct me. Like I said, I don't want to be warm. I don't want to be wrong about anything. But they have. Do they have something to do with the creation of humanity according to the story in the MCU? Donnie,
You cut out on my end. What'd you say?
I said, do they have something to? Didn't the Eternals for in the MCU's continuity and in the Marvel, continuity, have something to do with the creation of mankind?
No. So they're basically fighting. Eternals are low key characters like Thanos. Thanos is kind of on par with the Eternals, right? Uh, they don't really have anything to do with creation. They're there to fight the deviants. They kind of go hand in hand with like the mutants and what are the other off-brand mutants?
The
I can't think
Inhumans.
what the Inhumans. Yeah, so they kind of run along that storyline. So if anything, they have more to do with like mutants and the Inhumans,
Oh,
more so
okay.
than humans.
Okay, I just wanted to understand. I just wanted to understand.
Well, well, you did. You mentioned a pretty interesting elephant in the room as far as a black guy being betrayed as gay. Now, I'm gonna be realistic. The people who went and saw this movie, are they gonna rate the movie poorly because the black guy was gay? I don't think so. Because you'll have black people ain't that. We're only 13% of the population. I don't see them having an issue with the black guy being gay from the general population. There must be something else going on with this movie as well. So they may have been, maybe they been were trying too hard and sending too many woke messages. And I know I did. I peeped in on the premiere, like the world premiere of the movie, and it seemed like they were talking a little bit too much about diversity and wokeness and stuff like that. So I just turned it off. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't interesting to me. So I think sometimes you try to send a message, but the message ain't gonna necessarily help you feel. Marvel already has already established their brand. They don't need to. They don't really need to go too far outside of what they've been doing. Just keep pushing the envelope on things that you already started, and they be just fine. Now, if they detracted from that, then I can understand getting some bad reviews. But I do think it's got to be something other than a black guy being gay that's got them at 53% and nowhere near the 90s.
One
Yeah,
of the legitimized problems with this movie is you have too many characters. You have the Descendants, which there's like 45 of them. You also have Black Knight, and I'm sure that there's going to be other characters here and there that are going to be introduced into this movie. So you have too many like too many different cuts to where you're going to different characters, and then what they chose to do is they went the woke angle. So you have a lot of swaps to where these were pretty much all male characters. Now you have a bunch of women that are playing these characters. You have a gay inclusive character. It's too much going on. My thing is you have too much in too short of a time frame for a movie, and by short of a time frame, like my understanding, this is like Avengers Endgame long, like so this is like 2.5 hours, but all these characters, you don't have enough time to tell the story. There's just no way. So then you're gonna get a jacked up story with them trying to be woke, and it's just gonna rub people the wrong way. That's the only way I see this happening. Plus, you have nut ass Angelina Jolie.
yeah, and okay, the actor that plays the Eternal from Kingo, Kamali Nanjiani. This was a tweet that
Steroid man.
yeah, yeah, this is a tweet that he caused some controversy about. He said, "Looks like we're upsetting the right people." Eternals opens November 5th. And MCU Direct below that says Eternals has been review bombed by IMDb, received hundreds one-star reviews from users criticizing the movie's LGBTQ plus representation despite not having watched the movie. So that's one of the reasons why I brought up the whole thing, because like once this movie hits, yeah, it's going to be an issue. And not just that, because of the, I would say, more focus on representation rather than focusing on a great kick-ass film. Like, and that's always been my problem with things like these. Then as an actor, you and I don't know. I mean, being a person that likes films like these, I would say that they sit down and shut the fuck up and wait for the movie to come out, and then let the people decide for themselves whether this movie is a good film or not. And maybe it's just not that great a film. At the end of the day. So just kind of calm down. And also, one big problem that no one's going to bring up, but we will bring it up here at the Black Dimension, is that you brought this in as a team up film for the MCU, but you have so many more cooler teams that you could have brought. Two of them in particular is the Fantastic Four and the X-Men. So why do the Eternals first? I think I would probably say that they were probably bringing the Eternals just to try to shoehorn in a lot of heroes and characters with certain powers or certain abilities. Like they would want to shoehorn, like explain, I guess, why they would bring in somebody like the mutants. It probably connected to the Eternals and explain like more Thanos backstory. But
Yeah,
still, like you
that's what it
had,
is. You get the mutants from the Eternals.
yeah, but still, is that really an excuse? Like, why not do the Fantastic Four? Why not do the X Men? Why do the
Um,
Eternals?
I think with the Fantastic Four, that kind of would have. I I don't know how I feel about the Fantastic Four. And then in addition to the Fantastic Four, Marvel more or less did the same thing with Spider-Man. We've had two series of Spider-Man movies that were all right, and they just skipped his intro. They skipped him. They skipped him coming into a Marvel movie by having his own solo film that introduced his powers and everything else. So with the Fantastic Four, they may be trying to set up the same thing. And you got a ways to do that. Like I don't really want to see another Fantastic Four movie where they go into space and so come back with their powers and do it. Let's bring them in and let's do some gangster shit with it. So
Like
that's just my take on it.
just what I was saying, that just have them come in one day, just out of nowhere, have the thing punching motherfuckers, Invisible
Yeah,
Woman
like
doing her thing, the Human Torch setting people on fire, and Reed Richards like wrapping around motherfuckers and shit. That's what you want them to come in and do. They might tell their origin story like as a flashback or something like that last
yeah,
five seconds.
do it like they did with Spider Man. Like you know what I'm saying? You got a big global threat, and all of a sudden the Avengers pop in. Oh, I heard about y'all, but I didn't know y'all was really popping like this. Pow!
Yeah, that's what, and I do. But getting back to the Eternals itself, I do believe this is what a lot of people's issue is. This, I mean, and I think it probably has little to do with the whole diversity and inclusion and representation. I think a lot of people just don't know who they are. And
Mm.
when you do this diversity and inclusion and representation, and you put that in front instead of trying to character build and make a great story, then you're probably going to end up crashing and burning instead. Now, the MCU, they've been coming in with the films, like the heavyweight champ. Like they've been coming in, they've been knocking them down and knocking them out of the park. I mean, if the Eternals does badly, yeah, I think I would say that the MCU is still forgivable. Now, if the next five films are just horrible, then maybe even the next two or three films. Like, what if they drop the ball on Spider-Man: No Way Home, which looks like it's going to be extremely difficult to do, seeing what they got, what they're building up the film to be. What if they drop the ball with that? So I think that if the Eternals is a dud, the MCU is allowed at least one or two duds, I would say.
But I think that's a good way to look at it, and the fact that when it comes down to it, you made a good point. I don't know nothing about the Eternals. I'm going to the movie because I trust what Marvel's been doing. Now, if I get to this movie and Marvel's got a different agenda, I'm gonna be upset. This is what it is. The only reason I'm going is because I trust Marvel. Same way when Guardians of the Galaxy, who weren't really well known, when that movie came out, we went and saw it because we trusted Marvel at that particular point. So they need to worry about making a good movie and not trying to send messages into the real world, because we don't really need that from movies. Like, let people parent their own kids. We don't need y'all to parent us as people. Just give me a good movie and call it a day. So maybe the diversity thing was touched a little too hard. I did that, and he had to be
Hey,
gay, but he got beat up because he was black. And they'll try to make it out to something about the LGBT, even though it had nothing to do with it. So sometimes all that just be a smoke screen. They better just give me a good movie and call it a day.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Like I said, if I go to this film and I see a great film, I will come back to this channel and say, "Go see the Eternals." Like I do every other film, and it's like it could be all diverse, it could be inclusive, it could represent other groups that already got representation all over the place. But that's just my opinion. It could do all that, but as long as it's a great film, I don't care. I don't care. But the social messages, they are getting a little redundant and a little tiresome. And I will say this: you don't have to use a black man every time. What exactly are y'all trying to say? So I'll just leave it at that. Donnie, what's going on? Anything else?
Not really. I'm curious to see what this movie's going to be, but I think it's too much going on, in my opinion. And then you got nut ass Angelina Jolie. No, I'm curious to see where this is going to go. You got a lot on the MCU. I was just time because they always do the after scene or the after trailer movie or clip or whatever. I'm curious what it's going to be and how it's going to be received. Marvel is put at like even Captain Marvel wasn't really bad. It just had bad elements to it that made it a bad movie. So I'm curious how this will go.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna say I'm definitely still gonna check them out. You know, it's still an MCU film, and to me, they have not failed me as a company yet. So hopefully, it won't fail me this time. And sometimes people can get a little antsy when it comes to what they do on these websites. So I know I'm still going to see it at the end of the day. And yeah, we're gonna give it a review, and it's gonna if it's good, you get a good review. If it's bad, we definitely gonna tell you about it.
Yeah, yeah. And I will say this: trust yourselves. Trust what your opinion is of it. It's okay to enjoy it, even if no one else is going to enjoy it. You get make sure it does something for you. But if it's just bad, it's just bad. But we shall see. The Eternals comes out this Friday. And like I said, I encourage everyone to give their own opinion because sometimes the critics can't be wrong. And there are some examples out there of when exactly they were wrong or they were trying to push an agenda. So just kind of be careful with that. So the MCU has a pretty good track record of putting out films, and maybe this film will be no different. So Marvel's Eternals come out this Friday. Go check it out, and definitely come back here for the review. So yeah, that's it for now. And thank you for tuning in with us. I'm Kev, and that's Roger and Donnie. You have been pulled into the black dimension. Hopefully, you can find your way out, but not anytime soon. See you next time.